apple of ease because of it easing their burden.
It's easier for them to get to.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
That's right. But the Africans that built this actually took them close to 8 years to finish the construction of it. Yeah, this is called tabby.
Okay.
T-A-B-B-Y. Yes, oyster shell. It's sand, lime, and
That's
water.
what they built this out of?
Yes, it's oyster shells. Now, this is the lost art form.
Right.
We don't know of anyone that knows how to reproduce it. Mostly, you see tabbies in foundations and buildings, and it's used as seawall as well. Okay. Now, as this is African built, of course, it has the eastern frontage. We're sitting on the western side.
Okay.
And a lot of the churches that were built for the whites, you might see multiple entrances, but always on that eastern side. It's going to stand out. It's going to be more ornate. Let me back up a little bit, because in this case, the doorway is much larger.
Yeah, you can see it.
On the other side. See that?
Yeah.
How much larger that doorway is? Yep. Now, the column that you see there was another one on the other side that held up the portico, which is like a little porch. And then and I don't know if you can see it. You might be able to see it from the vantage point. There, the circular opening at the very top, that was a wooden clock. And then the holes that are by the doorway, those were helped to support the wooden beams for the roofing. But this was burned by a forest fire in the late 1880s. And as you can see, this does not have a slave gallery. So these whites, they did not allow their slaves to worship with them, initially. But eventually the Africans gained permission to worship here. But that wasn't until after the war. Let me back up a little bit more, because I didn't point out the mausoleum. The only mausoleum that you will see on this island. It was built for Edgar Fripp. He was a slaveholder that had a fear of being buried underground.
Oh, wow.
So he commissioned that sandstone all the way from Egypt. We're right at the ocean floor. We got a bunch of sand here.
Right.
Very extravagant. But he was a descendant of a pirate, John Fripp. And John Fripp, because he flew the flag of the monarch under King William, was given a land grant. He was a pirate, but once they work with the monarchs, they then become privateers.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's how they do.
Yeah, that's how they do. Stealing and pillaging for the monarch. But anyway, but as this Fripp was granted land grants, not just in Beaufort County, but Colleton and Hampton counties. So today, a lot of the plantations on Saint Helena are named after that Fripp family. Okay. So there's John Fripp, Tom Fripp, Ann Fripp, Fripp Point. There's a Fripp Island.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. You want to get? I'll go by the sign. You trying to get the sign?
Yeah, I got it.
Did you get it? Because I can go even closer to it. The Chapel of Ease. You can get an even better picture. We are going to make our way to the Fripp Plantation. I considered the Grand Manor. It's antebellum. One of the few antebellum style homes that we have here on the island. But because these slaveholders, they're not here all the time, so they didn't find it necessary to do all the showcasing of their wealth. So these plantations were basically working plantations. And the majority of the plantations on this island were cotton. Didn't have as much rice grown here. Oh, some rice. But it was not the grade of that, that Carolina gold. So most of the plantations here were cotton. And of course, you found some indigo on here as well. But most of those rice plantations were in areas around Charleston. Charleston and Georgetown. So we're talking cotton planted all the way out. All the way out.
Well, I told my daughter I had picked it once. That was nothing.
I've never picked it.
I did it in Mississippi.
I've never attempted to. I said my ancestors have picked enough cotton for me.
That's how I feel.
Yes,
I didn't know nothing about it then. I was that young.
That was not in my plan. That was not God's plan for me.
After I got stuck the first time, it wasn't in mine either. I'm like, oh no, I can't do this.
No, it wasn't.
Have your hands all tore up from the little sticky
Wild
things.
turkeys. No. So we're taking a loop. We're going to be on the back end of St. Helena.
Okay.
And the Fripp Plantation, it is privately owned. We have been very fortunate, a company, to have had access to a lot of these plantations. Oh, yeah. so long, we've had access to a lot of them. The current owner, he actually passed away a few years ago, and his daughter now owns the home, and she does not live here. She's in the Maryland area, and the house is today's an event venue.
Oh.
So weddings are held there, different events. So the original plantation was over 690 acres. Today it sits on about 110. And then I mentioned that they're white. The only plantation I know that some of the former slaves held onto was Tomby. Tomby is the smallest plantation on the island. But the blacks there, they were chaplains and freedmen. They held on to the plantation home around the mid 1970s. But today, all the plantations are white owned. Now, we own the majority of the land around plantation homes. Because once the Africans are given their freedom and placed on land, they gained land one of three ways. One way is that if a former slave opted to stay on the land of their former slaveholders, that they could prove that they could successfully farm it for a 2-year period, they were awarded a portion of the land. Then the Freedmen's Bureau, they were here, and they began to pay Africans wages for working. And then Africans who had a skill set could hire themselves, and so what those Africans, they all got together, they would pool their resources, buy a tract of land, and divvy it out amongst amongst their families. And then the 40 acres and a mule, Sherman's Field Order number 15 in here. Well, there's no mule record of that. And not all Africans got the full 40 acres. It was maybe 10, 20, or 30. But one of the reasons why that stayed in place for so long is because of Lordtown and Ellen Murray and Charlotte Fortin teaching the Africans how to read, and when deeds were given, there's a signature. As opposed to an X, which didn't mean anything. These trees are lovely. There's a tree I pointed out to you, there's a tree on plantation that's over 600 years old.
Wow.
I think they must have an event here. Some people are probably renting out the house. Yeah, they are. I see they're out there fishing. Yeah, they're fishing. I'm afraid oh yeah. Well, typically the wealthier you were as a slaveholder leaves or whatever, what have you. And once the Africans gained the ability to get better materials for their homes, they tore those slave cabins down.
Well, they got a whole area like that in Jamaica called Shantytown.
Right.
Yeah.
So this house, once again, it is not the grand manor, but to about 1,800 square feet. Many of them were added on. This house, built in 1795. Although the plantation itself was established in the early 1700s, they didn't build the house till then. And I don't think that the owners lived in the house for too long.
St. Louis, they give a lot of witness.
Yeah.
That black people go to?
No, that wouldn't be my cup of tea.
not mine, but yeah.
I know we was talking about trying to find lodging down here, and my friend was like, "Oh, we stayed on the plantation." I said, "I will not be doing that."
I sleep on a plantation, on a Perry plantation, but my mom and them over there, and the whole family over there. That's the difference.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a real aversion, because people would ask, well, do you feel a certain way that you still live on plantations? And we're like, no, because we own the land.
Right.
So
I
we
got
own
that
all
part.
the land. This tree is a tree I was saying is over 600 years old.
This big old tree.
Ooh, it's big.
This tree is beautiful. I'm gonna turn to the side, and that way you can even get the fullness of it. Even if you want to get out too, Mr. Davis, you can.
Okay. Look, he ain't even waiting on you to stop.
Oh, it's a creek behind it too.
It sure is.
You don't go to the end because there's an alligator in there. I don't want you to
Well, I
snatch
want
it.
you
You want me to step out?
No, I just said don't go to the end there. You
Yeah,
know,
I don't think
That
you
is
know
beautiful.
it's a midget. It's not a real big one.
It don't matter. You alligator. Whatever size he is, he too big.